Hey. Hi, guys. Welcome back. All right. So it is time for a late night, um, little like mythological celebration story right now. And this was by request. So, Yael, thank you so much for requesting such a great topic because it's very timely, of course. So, as you guys know, we are celebrating our full moon, which is also our third in a series of supermoons that we've had, and that sequence doesn't happen very often. So this is actually really kind of something really to celebrate also. Not only is it our, big, huge super moon, our last full moon of the year, but this is also kind of just special in and of itself. Even the arc that it is at, it's at a really high point in particular right now. There's a lunar standstill. There's a lot to be said about this particular moon. And this moon, which is also known as the cold moon, that's one of its many names, has always kind of like historically been something that human beings kind of look at as symbolic. It's the beginning of winter time. Other cultures saw it as a time of rest and renewal. So there's that component of the moon. And that's already amazing. But there's also something else pretty special that's happening with the moon's movement. It will cross, and to talk about this before we jump on into this, I should first point it out. It will cross through the Pleiades, going from right to left. Now, that actually technically happened yesterday. And so it was on December the 3rd. But we have to first go up to the constellation of Taurus. And in the constellation of Taurus, you can't see Orion, but he should be up over here. And if we followed Orion's belt and we went to the eyeball of Taurus, the big bright orange star is named Aldebaran. And that's one of the brightest stars in the night sky. And then if we went beyond that, we would get right here to that smudgy blue clump that you see in the night sky. And this is representing the Pleiades. This is what the constellation looks like if we take away the picture of the bull. And we can see it's like right over here-ish. The moon happens to be moving from right to left to the point where it'll actually at one point pass directly in front of the Pleiades, or rather it already did yesterday, which is again kind of a really special celestial event to be able to look at that. Now, that brings us around to talking about the Pleiades. So actually, in the constellation of Taurus, there are two open star clusters in addition to having one of the brightest stars, Aldebaran, in it. So Taurus is a pretty awesome, location to begin with. But with those two open star clusters, the one that we kind of like to talk about the most is the Pleiades. Now, in Greek mythology, the Pleiades were considered to be, well, first off, the original name Pleiades was not quite the way it was spoken. It was a shorter word form and it meant to sail. And the Pleiades were used heavily by the Greeks as like a point in time to know when it was safe to sail and when it was not. It's the seasonal timing and such. They'd only be visible during their heliacal rising and at certain times, and that denoted whether it was safe to sail or not. Later, they altered that name and they turned it into a Greek mythological tale of a woman named Pleiades, and she married Atlas and had quite a few children, including her 7 daughters. And those 7 daughters are the Pleiades. So we call them the 7 sisters. What is interesting about that, with the 7 sisters and how they got into the night sky, is that Pleiades, who was from Arcadia in southern Greece in mythology and was traveling with Orion the hunter, he became like enamored with her and more or less started chasing her around. And she and the girls had to run and flee. And finally Zeus was like, this madness needs to quit. And he went ahead and placed her and the kids up in the night sky, hence her daughters being up in the night sky. But there is one daughter that is not quite as noticeable, and she is the faintest, and it took astronomers more time to locate that one star out of the 7 sisters that we call the Pleiades, which, by the way, the Pleiades are made up of like almost 3,000 stars, I think, but there's like 6 that are visible with the naked eye, and then the one sister that is like less visible. And so it was said that that particular daughter had gone off and married a mortal man, and thus she was kind of like shamed for that. And so that is why she is one of the faintest stars out of the 7 sisters. But The Pleiades in particular, there's like cultures all around the world have made note of the Pleiades open star cluster. So like in the Lakota nation, they looked at the Pleiades as ancestors who had come from the stars. In Australia, their story was similar to that of Orion, chasing, um, you know, uh, the mother and daughters across the sky. In the Mayan and Incans culture, they actually looked at it as the Pleiades, and when they were visible, it got worked into their calendar and was associated with their new year. But ultimately, we see the Pleiades being very significant throughout human history for as far back as we probably can go. And in today's world, especially in astrology, it is said or believed that depending on where your placement is in your star chart, where the Pleiades falls, it has different significant meaning, and in particular can heighten things like intuition, can heighten things like, being more empathic, more creative, and all of that kind of energy. So when we put all that together, what I would say is, because the moon has crossed in front of it, and this is a super moon, and the moons are really good at bringing things up from the subconscious, and moons are really good at, like kind of opening things up and releasing things or dragging things that need to be illuminated. It's also, because it has to do with the subconscious, the Pleiades, being, if they're in a really prominent place in someone's chart, could like highlight someone's intuition. This could be an off the charts moment, and this is my interpretation. This could be an off the chart kind of moment right around yesterday and today, right during this full moon, for like either intuition to go crazy or subconscious messages to really bubble to the surface. So with that in mind, I just want to pull just a few cards. We're going to keep it really, really simple, but I would like to pull just a couple of cards to ask, as far as this moon goes, and considering its connection to the Eye of Taurus, the Aldebaran, that bright orange star, and the connection to the Pleiades, and what we kind of know about, the astrological importance, and just the fact that all of our ancestors have always paid attention to that very interesting open star cluster that looks just like a little smudge in the night sky, which, by the way, if you are in the northern hemisphere, just know that it's visible in October through February in the northern hemisphere, and in the southern hemisphere, I think they get it November to March. So let's take a look. What specifically, when we're talking more about intuition, what might have been the impact of the moon passing in front of or highlighting things? We have the Hanged Man in the reverse. We have the Eight of Cups. In this, it kind of says that what was brought forth into the forefront of someone's mind is it's time to go. Maybe we have a feminine, possibly, or whomever is in the divine feminine energy, which is the energy of the moon, the gravitational pull. It may have been highlighted that feminines need to go, need to let go and move on from an idea, from a thought, from a lover, from someone they were waiting on. And energetically, they probably already knew this, but it might have been really, really heightened. It's time that I let this go and I turn my back to it and I turn my face toward the sun. That could have been a really strong intuitional pull. I'm wondering if there's going to be more to this. Strength card in the reverse. There's a weakening of maybe a bond, or a weakening of a resolution to like say, no, I'm gonna wait this out. This says no, waiting is the wrong thing to do right now for this character, right? This could have been the message that started to present itself around yesterday evening, and become prominent throughout the day. Today, Three of Cups is upright, Knight of Cups is sideways. I think that a bond of love has been weakening but another bond has perhaps already started to take its place, or there's the awareness that I'm going to be bonding to someone else. And if you look closely, we have one cup here, we have two over here. Now, this is making me think back to organic chemistry. And when you study organic chemistry, it's all you're really doing is you're learning about how things bond. You are caring where that oxygen is going. You are caring about hitting that, 8 electrons. You are caring about following like the puzzle pieces of how things are going to want to bond. What kind of a bond is it going to be? What's the strongest bond? Because you can have bonded atoms, you can have a molecule holding together, but if it bumps into something else that it has more affinity for, it will detach and it'll reattach elsewhere, and we have a stronger bond. So it all depends on where the stronger bond is. And I can't help but look at this and say, I think we have a feminine saying, I've got to let go of somebody, and I've got to go ahead and say the bond is actually, it is a weak bond unless I am the one insisting on holding on. And I think this has gone on too long. I think this is a feminine who is letting go of someone that she obviously loved and who may have loved her as well. But there's another bond that's going to be stronger. And I think deep intuitive messages maybe came through, maybe through those ancestors that the Lakota believed were the Pleiades. Maybe that's the message that got downloaded, is the ancestors whispered, hey, you can go ahead and you can let go, because you know that there's other bonds for you to make. Your life is not made up of this one relationship, but of others as well, and others that might actually fit you better, suit you better. There is a great song by the artist Talk, Tawk, and it is called Me We, but he mushed it together so it looks like Me We, but it's M-E and then W-E. And in it, the lyrics are really great. I love all of his stuff in particular, but he does very it's a combo of like super sexy and then also very like fringy science. And in that particular song, Me he says something along the lines of, I can name you all the stars. They used to live with me. And it's kind of like, he'll go back home again, but it starts out with something about, you remind me of something sweet, like an orange tree. It's nice poetry, but it's also very sexy. Love and light, Libra. Thank you, Angel. You are so generous. Thank you. You're so kind, babe. Thank you. Now it's I don't know. I feel like that song is so perfect for this, and it's very like low key. Like, I don't know. It would suit staring up at the night sky, getting those binoculars and looking up. And by the way, with just a pair of binoculars, you can look up at the Pleiades and you will actually be able to see at least 6 of the 7 sisters, which is quite remarkable. But this just feels like, I think this was a stronger message coming in from ancestors. Wheel of Fortune. This is all stuff that I think our character has known. They've known that they needed to embrace this ability to let go of a lover and embrace a completely next chapter. I'm not saying that the person is instantly there, but we are saying we're opening up that channel, that gateway, and it was time. So this could be maybe someone is feeling more connected, not just to their intuition, but maybe their intuition is the way they connect to their ancestors and those messages that get channeled down from the ancestors in the Pleiades, if we'd like to look at it that way. But we also have that element of the calendar coming in from the Mayan and Incan beliefs. And so it is something about timing, and this is time to start new. The fact that other cultures looked at the cold moon also as a time that heralds winter, the end of a year, but a time for rest and renewal. I feel like this is such a good reset button. And here it says, reset your heart. We've got that heart right there on it's kind of like a card or a letter that this little mouse is holding. Can I see any last message on this? Sierra, you angel, thank you so much. Sierra just gifted 5 memberships. Leah Zulia, Sassy S, Christine 44, Yoshifan, and Melazab 0622. You guys are all now members, courtesy of Sierra. Thank you so much, Angel. That was so generous. It was so kind. always. Do we have a final message here, ancestors, of what you want to convey with the time to reset the heart? Oh, there is this message that says, not only do you have a stronger bond up ahead, she's got her real Two of Cups that she still hasn't met. She thought she'd met somebody that she needed to hold on to. That wasn't her Two of Cups. Her Two of Cups is coming up. And if she can't let go of the other, relationship, she'll never be able to bond here. The same way in organic chemistry, you have to detach from one thing in order to bond to and create a different molecule. She has to let go of the ghost of the ex. She has to let go of the memory of the past. She has to let her heart say, I did love them, but I'm ready to be in love with my Two of Cups. And this is just that whisper from the ancestors that are like, you got to go forward. You got to go after the real one. You got to be free to meet the real one. So please uncouple, detach. It's restart your heart and say, I'm actually ready to match with my Two of Cups, because this is that whisper that says, your Two of Cups is up ahead. You haven't met them yet. That wasn't your Two of Cups. That wasn't your best match. Your best match is yet to come. Put your mind toward wanting that instead, and turn your mind away from holding on to that person of the past. They're not it. This is a very decisive and cohesive message. I'm not going to go any further on it because it's not really, you don't mess with the ancestors. When they say what they need to say and they said it succinctly, you let it be. She's already making those decisions. She's walking away. We got the Eight of Cups twice in a very few cards. So I would argue that is one of the biggest messages, coupled with that Wheel of Fortune, because it's our major arcana. I know we did have that Strength card in the reverse as well. But for me, major arcana, and then when we get duplicate cards, that stands out to me also. All right, I'm going to leave this here, you guys. I know I got to this one really late tonight. I had the opportunity to spend time with someone that I love very much, and so I needed to do that tonight, and then look forward to hanging out with you guys this evening. So I'm going to bounce over to the other channel over on Tarot Dog right after this. So if you guys are up late or early in the morning, depending on where you are in the world, I'll see you over on Tarot Dog. And then at midnight, we will post the video for today's topic over here on this side as well. See you, Shannon Fitzgerald. And again, Loving Light Libra, thank you so much, honey. Cosmo Guy, Lightning Cass, Holly Light, Luminous Marina, Patricia, great to see you. Thank you again so much, Sierra. That was so generous of you. Ah, Yael, you're here. I'm sorry. I know it's so late for you. You are so wonderful. That's awesome. I'm glad the kids are asleep. Aries is fast asleep now, too. I'm sorry this came so late tonight, but I wasn't about to miss out on a chance. And thank you for kind of like giving us such a different added perspective on things. So great topic you suggested. Slave Princess, wonderful to see you. That's awesome, you guys. Thank you so much for being here. The Cataclysmic Awakening. Shriza Ali, wonderful to see you tonight. Evie Allen. Love some Steph. Great to see you. Hi, Louise. Alicia Parson. Dan Alshah. Hi, honey. Or excuse me, Dana. Wait, have I always said your name wrong? I'm so sorry. I'm going to say Dana Shaw. I'm still saying it wrong. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I think I've mispronounced your name all this time. Fallen Raven, The Soul Archetype, Love is Legendary, CDW, and Luminous Marina. You were first in the house tonight. You guys, thanks again. I will see you on the other side. Bye for right now. Hi, Chrissy. Great to see you anyway, babe. Bye for right now.